So first of all, talking about his academic qualifications, Father Barnes had actually he achieved his BA honors in English from NEHU in the year 1988, then B.Ed from NEHU in the year 1990, then Bachelor's of Philosophy from Salesian College, Dimapur, then Bachelor of Theology from Sacred Heart Theological College, Shillong, 1994, then B.Ed from Kamraj University, 2001, MA in Pastoral Theology from UPS, Rome, 1996, PhD in Pastoral Theology from UPS, Rome, 2003, PhD in Anthropology, NEHU, Shillong, 2015. Then his academic status are, he is Professor of Pastoral Theology in SHTC and Orient's Theological College since 1996. He was registrar of SHTC from 1998 to 2001. He is professor of contextual theology in SHTC since 2005. He was assistant director of Don Bosco Center for Indigenous Cultures from 2004 to 2007. He was vice president of SHTC 2004 to 2008. He was president of SHTC Shillong from 2012 to 2019. Now he is also the director of Virta Maupadang from 2015 till date. Then he is also a member of many academic associations. He is a member of Indian Salesians Catechetical Association. He is a founding president of Northeast India Catechetical Association. He is a member of Don Bosco Media Network Shillong. He is a member of Khasi Authors Society. He is a PhD program consultant at Martin Luther Christian University. He is a regional secretary of Commission for Tribal Affairs, Northeast India Bishops Conference. Then he has many books published till 2021, but I will read only one or two. He had published around 30 books. So the very relevant to the Khasi society are these: Introduction to Khasi Ethics, 2005, Uklor Kari Khasi Jaintia. This has been published in the year 2007. Then the Khasis and their natural environment in the year 2009. Then again, the Khasi Ethics, 2014. And the most important book, which is very relevant to the topic today, is From Maternal Uncle to Father, an anthropological study of the changing patriarchy among the Khasis. He also had written a lot of articles in books and reviews. So I will just mention only one or two. He had been written around 23 articles. So I'd like to read about these two. Tribal Youth and Peace Building in Northeast India. Another article, Khasi Society and the Impact of Modernity, Challenges to Identity and Integrity. And also he's a co-author of the Grow in Faith series of catechism books for Northeast India, consisting of 12 books for class 1 to class 12. He is also the editor of NEIRA, peer-reviewed International Journal of Anthropology, Shillong. So these are his academic achievements, and till date, Father continued to contribute in his academic writings. So thank you so much, Father, for your time that you have accepted our invitation. So we will continue with the program. So I invite you to come forward. Over to you, Father. Thank you.
Thank you. So good evening to all of you. And first of all, my regards to the principal, Dr. Silvanus Lamare. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Father. Yes, sir, we can hear you. Yes, Father, we can hear you.
Okay. So my regards to the principal, Dr. Silvanus Lamare. Is a very close friend of mine. In fact, he is my classmate. And then to the other brothers of St. Edmund's College, two of them who are here. And then, of course, to the Department of Sociology, St. Edmund's College, to all of you, dear teachers. Thank you for inviting me to be resource person at this webinar. It is a pleasure for me to be present for this program and to share some of the reflections on this very important and relevant topic, the significance of Matriliny to the Khasi society. Of course, already some of you have posed some questions. I must admit that I may not be able to reply to all the questions, but in the course of the seminar, we'll try to see some of those questions, and perhaps together we can reflect on those questions. And I also welcome all the participants in this webinar, and I'm glad to know that many of them have participated. They are here, so I hope they will benefit from this sharing. I don't claim that I know everything about the culture, that I know everything about this topic. There will be many other things which could be researched, but whatever I have collected, I will try to share with you. So the significance of Matriliny to the Khasi society. There are two lineage systems in the world, namely Matriliny, where family line is traced from the progenitor or the father, and Matriliny, where family line is traced from the progenitress, that is the mother. Both males and females are members of their mother's clan. The membership is transmitted by the women to the offspring, and corporate kinship groups can be formed tracing the matriline. Most societies in the world follow patrilineal and patriarchy, whereas few communities follow matrilineal. Among these are the Khasis and Garos of Meghalaya. At the outset, it is important to understand basic concepts like matrilineal and matriarchy. We have explained the meaning of matrilineal above. Now, matriarchy is a family system where the woman is the authority in all family affairs. When we come to the Khasis, we must know that they are matrilineal, but not a matriarchal society. As some people, non-Khasis, they make a mistake. They think that the Khasis are matriarchal. We are matrilineal, but not matriarchal. Why? Because although the children trace their lineage from the mother, when it comes to managing the affairs of the family, it is the uncle, the kini, who is the absolute authority. We must also understand the distinction between Kur, clan, Kpo, womb, and the Yang, family. The difference is in terms of size of the unit. Yang, or family, is a micro unit of the Kur. It constitutes a group of families descended from a single grandmother under one Yang Seng or Yang Khaddo. It is generally accepted that Yang extends up to 5 generations, maybe to Kon Knai. Kpo, womb, is the conglomeration of Yang and refers to a bigger unit, semi-macro unit, we can call it, consisting of the great-grandmother and her posterity. Then we have the Kpo extends up to 10 generations generally. And Kur, clan, on the other hand, is the macro unit, which constitutes many Kpo in it. And the primeval ancestress, also known as the Yaube Kulong, is the originator of the clan, of the Kur. So those terms are important to understand in order to, to go ahead. Khasi Matriliny, what about its origin? When speaking about the origin of Matriliny among the Khasis, there are no written accounts, but only oral tradition. Due to the absence of earlier written records, theories of origin are based entirely on presumptions. But it is evident that Matriliny, as a unanimously accepted family system among the Khasis, has a very remote history of origin. The first presumption, I would say, the first theory, holds that in the ancient days, when the Khasis were regularly engaged in wars with neighboring groups, the Khasi warriors had to leave their homes, either to fight to protect their land or to go on raids in the plains. In such circumstances, the men would be absent from their villages for days and months, and many would not be sure of returning home either. It was for this reason the menfolk felt that during their absence, it was fitting to entrust the affairs of their families to their women. This elevated the status of women in the society and they were directly responsible for the upbringing of the children and managing their homes. It was accepted that lineage should be traced from the mother rather than from the father. Thus, matrilineal system originated among the Khasis. Seeing the functionality of the system, the Khasis chose to preserve it without further dispute. The second theoretical presumption is this. According to H.O. Mawrie, an eminent Khasi scholar, matrilineal system among the Khasis has been practiced since time immemorial. Lineage is traced through women because God himself created the ancestress, the Yaube, to expand the Khasi race. In fact, the Khasi ancestress is always considered as complementing the Godhead, and in prayers, she is mentioned next to God. This has given permanent sanction to the practice of matriliny. In the triad of every Kur, the clan, namely the Utaulang, Kayaube, and Suitnia, Kayaube and Suitnia are more revered by the members of the clan. The former as the originator of the Kur, the clan, or the Kpo womb, while the latter as the Kini, the uncle of the Kur or the Kpo. So that is the second presumption. The third theory, according to Bachofen, matrilineal descent and matriarchy were initial phase of cultural evolution among humans, and the earliest of human societies were matriarchal. Matrilineal system seem to have given way to patrilineal system due to changes in the stages of human cultural evolution, namely from pastoralism to settled cultivation, or from large families to nuclear families. In the opinion of Hammond, a noted anthropologist, matrilineal descent is generally associated with primitive farming where women do the work. Matrilineal system is therefore a characteristic of a semi-agriculturist society where female labor is a prime factor. Defying the theory of anthropologists who try to explain the evolution of family systems in terms of the economic life, there are societies in some parts of the world who continue to maintain the primeval system of matriliny, and the Khasis and the Garos of Meghalaya are among them. So that is regarding the theory of the origin of matriliny. Now I would like to come to the next point, the characteristics of matriliny among the Khasis. Speaking about the matrilineal system among the Khasis, we should note the following characteristics. First, it is matrilocal, which implies that the husband remains in the wife's home. In the early days, usually the husband would go to the wife's house, since there was the practice when the husband would spend his daytime in his mother's house and would come to the children's house only at night. Marriages generally took place in the woman's family. Today, however, due to the changes on account of many factors, this traditional custom is no longer popular. This practice is, however, still applicable to the husband of the Khaddu, youngest daughter, who is by custom the inheritor of the ancestral home and a major portion of the ancestral property. She is the guardian, Nongri Nongda, of the ancestral home, as well as of the family tradition. Her home is open to every member of the Kur or Kpo. In this system, the mother-in-law usually exercises great control over the family and even over the reproductive cycle of her daughter, while the Kini, the uncle, exercises absolute authority in matters related to the Kur or Kpo or of the Ying. Secondly, in Khasi matriliny, the offspring are directly linked to the cognates, the Kur or the mother's clan, and they naturally acquire membership of the clan. At the same time, they are also related to the agnates, the Kha or the father's family, and the father's mother is known as the Meikha. She is revered by her son's children. There is a traditional custom known as Kangu Meikha, where when her daughter-in-law, along with her children, would pay homage to the grandmother the mother of the husband. As per tradition, it is the Meikha, in fact, who proposes a name for the first child. So that practice is still there among the Khasis. Third point, inheritance law favors the daughters. Usually the Khaddo gets the lion's share of the ancestral property, while her sisters get portions of it. Male children have no right to ancestral property except to the self-acquired property known as Nongkenti. Today, with the movements like Machafrang movement, as well as the Khasi Students' Union, demanding that male children be given a share in the ancestral property, many families have started doing this. So in fact, you find some families today who also apportion shares of their property, ancestral property, to the male children as well. Then the fourth point, Matriliny as a social system emphasizes and maintains a close bond between brother and sister at the expense of the bond between the husband and wife. In the traditional practice, the man in fact spends his daytime at his mother's home, earning for the kur, and he comes to his children's home only at night. He is often referred to as Nong Ai Khon, progenitor, and Ukhon Kibriu, that is other's child. His children belong to the wife and not to him. This practice is even more rampant among the Panas of Jaintia Hills. Today, however, with the influence of Christian faith, this practice has weakened considerably, and nuclear family bond has taken over in more and more families. So perhaps some of you may question, how do the children get, let's say, get when the husband really used to spend his time in his mother's house, or he earns for the kur. But actually, the system was, in the olden days, the system was that the children of the wife, they would be taken care by their uncle. So their uncle in turn would come to them and would take care. So it was a kind of a give and take kind of system. But of course, as I said today, this system has really given way to nuclear families where the bond between the husband and wife is more than that of the kur of the uncle. And the influence of Christianity is very much because Christianity emphasizes on the role of the husband, the father, not so much on the uncle. That's the reason why the position of the uncle has weakened considerably, and the father plays more important role in the family. And fifthly, the Khasis were generally endogamous. Inter-clan marriages usually took place within the same village or locality. This custom has given rise to a phenomenon where clans become cognates, kur, and agnates, kha, to each other. This practice is still prevalent in many rural areas, as well as in some villages on the outskirts of our city of Shillong. If you go to, for example, I'll give you an example. If you go to Laikkor village, there you find the two big kur clans, the Mawrie kur and the Karkongor. They intermarry among themselves for centuries now. And so they become cognates and agnates to each other. That is a practice in many villages also. Endogamous marriages began as a consequence of geographical isolation in the past due to absence of communication. At times, it took place as a consequence of mutual covenant made between the founding clans, the Kurs of the village. With the changes of times and easy communication today, endogamy has given way to exogamy, where members of clans begin to marry outside their villages. However, in spite of the change in marriage customs from endogamy to exogamy, the Khasis have scrupulously preserved the matrilineal system without any slight change whatsoever. Now I come to the fourth point, attempts at socio-cultural transformation. In the 1920s, the Nayars of Kerala, who had been practicing matriarchy for centuries, collectively decided to change over to patriarchy. They succeeded to do this by enacting laws. Today, they follow a patriarchal system. For centuries, Khasi matrilineal system instead has come to stay as a socio-cultural practice. There were no voices of dissent, and it has been taken as part and parcel of the people's culture and tradition. It was, however, in the 1960s that attempts were being made by some educated Khasi men to seek for change to patrilineal. It was in 1961 that Kaseng Ikhtiar Longbrio Manbrio was founded in Cherrapunji, Sora. Their constitutions state that a radical change in the Khasi lineage system and the right of inheritance was necessary. In a public meeting which was held in the premise of the Catholic Church in Cherrapunji, a chaos ensued when the large group of women, as well as some men sympathizers, vehemently opposed the proposal. Another attempt to change the system came in 1990 in the form of the Singkong Rempai Thamai, SRT. This movement advocates a radical change from Matriliny to Patriliny. According to late J.D. Lingdo, who was the president of SRT, about 60% of the educated Khasi women are in favor of a change to Patriliny. However, for one reason or the other, this movement has not been popularly welcomed by the Khasis. This movement is still present today, but it has remained stagnant. Now we may ask the question, why does Matriliny persist in Khasi society? There are a few reasons which I can think of. First, the cult of the ancestress Yaobei is deep-rooted and so sacred to the Khasis that no Khasi would dare to deny her role in the origin of the clan or the Kur. In fact, the Yaobei men, primeval ancestress, acquires a sort of divine character, and she is venerated by her clan members. And this has given a sort of divine sanction to Matriliny, and that's why it is considered sacred, and Khasis would not easily dare to change that. Secondly, the Khasi clan system, the Kur, has so much grown and spread. Today, there are hundreds of Kur, new ones still emerging. This complicates any attempt at changing the system. Experience has shown that complications in marriages take place when some families try to switch over to Patriliny. It is likely to lead to incestual relationships. So that is another problem. Thirdly, from a practical point of view, we know that the Khasi women today have become more empowered than the men on account of their educational and economic status. Many are employed in government offices, and even in markets, they run the business. Most Khasi shops in Yodo and other places elsewhere are managed by the women. The Khasi women have come to realize the advantages of the present matrilineal system, and they are in no mood to give it up. Thus, we see a great resistance from the part of the women to such movements as mentioned earlier. And fourthly, it is also well known that the most Khasi men themselves are not in favor of changing the system. They do not see any extra advantage in changing the system. Even late Dr. Father Silvanus Singhi, a renowned Khasi scholar, who was not in favor of such a change. Instead, he was emphasizing on revitalizing patriarchy with a difference, namely empowering the father part of the family, who should take the traditional place of the Pinyi, since the latter's status has been adversely affected by the changes of time. My personal view also would be the same. I would be more in favor of empowering the Kpa, as I have already mentioned in my book, from maternal uncle to father, where I've really made a study and realized that many people also, they want that. They want the position of the father to be strengthened rather than changing the lineage system among the Khasis. Then fifthly, the Khasis as a tribal community are very attached to their customs and traditions. In spite of the many centuries that have passed, many traditional institutions are still in place. See, perhaps this is very insightful, I would say, because the Khasis really, for many changes that have taken place, still they are still attached very much to their to their traditional institutions. For example, the traditional democracy, Dorbar, is still actively functioning at all levels, at the Hima, the Raj, and the Shillong. The institutions of Piniship is still prevailing, although it has weakened considerably. Similarly, traditional farming, traditional handicraft, etc., are still being practiced among the Khasis. In like manner, The age-old matrilineal system is still being revered and maintained in spite of the multiple contacts with patriarchal neighboring communities. So the Khasis are, from that point of view, they really love their own tradition, and they would not like to part with these traditions. And sixthly, finally, we may say that the absence of a collective agreement at the level of lawmaking and enforcement in the autonomous district councils has made such attempts at change even impossible. On the other hand, the matrilineal Nayars of Kerala succeeded to switch over to patriarchy through a unanimous law passed by the Legislative Council in April 1925. In Meghalaya, instead, the district councils have never made any attempt at changing the system, perhaps because the system is so deep-rooted, and also because not many people are in favor of changing. So therefore, the legal authorities have not really taken much interest in initiating such changes. Now I come to the last point, significance of Matriliny today, Khasi Matriliny. Observing the privileged social status of Khasi women, many women folk of other societies in India and elsewhere are quite envious. There are a number of significances which are linked to the matrilineal system for the Khasis. First, this system gives a unique identity to the Khasi community in the world. This system has attracted many scholars from the country as well as from abroad to study its uniqueness. Thus, we can say that Khasis are well known for their matrilineal system. Very often, I remember when I used to meet non-Khasi friends outside Northeast, the first question invariably they would ask was, is it true that you take your surname from your mother? And so they are surprised because we have that the matrilineal system. Many people, in fact, may not know much about Khasi culture, but they are quite aware of our matrilineal system. This proves that Khasi Matriliny gives something unique to our identity as a community. We are like a special gem in the midst of many monotonous gems. We are different in a system of uniformity and that makes the Khasi stand out among others. Secondly, it is a highly patrilineal and patriarchal world in which we live in, where women are often treated as objects or inferior to men. The Khasi women stand out as liberated women. In India, we hear every now and then how women and girls are treated with contempt and violence against them is rampant. Female infanticide is being practiced in some parts of India, and women are restricted to their homes and to their domestic chores. In contrast, the Khasi women are highly respected, and they have the freedom to choose whatever profession they like. Female infanticide is not in the Khasi vocabulary. Instead, girl children are welcomed with great joy, and absence of a girl child in fact becomes a matter of concern and anxiety for the family, since family lineage would then be endangered. Thirdly, Khasi matrilineal system is serving as an inspiration for women of other societies who are being dominated by men. There are endless reports of women and girls who are being maltreated or discriminated in male-dominated societies all over India. According to the National Commission for Women, NCW, crimes against women like domestic violence, cybercrime complaints, harassment complaints, and rape and sexual assaults complaints, etc., are on the rise. According to the National Crime Record Bureau, NCRB, in the ranking of states according to crimes against women as of 2016, Meghalaya is only 28, while Assam is second in the country. Definitely, this low percentage of crimes against women in Meghalaya is due to the privileged status held by women on account of the matrilineal system. Fourth point, in today's situation where environmental issues are predominant and people are talking of the need to rediscover our relationship with our natural environment, Khasi Matriliny can be a model. This system has made the Khasis since time immemorial to consider nature as a mother. They always address her as a true mother, Kamei Rameu, Kamei Mariang, etc., the one who nurtures and provides for their needs. This in turn has always evoked respect, love, and reverence among the Khasis for Mother Nature. Such a perspective and attitude towards nature is a must if the world wishes to re-establish a connection with their natural environment. Thus, we may not be wrong to affirm that Matriliny and ecological consciousness go hand in hand. In this regard, Khasi Matriliny truly serves as a preferred approach towards solving ecological crisis. It is equally true to say that patriarchal system is synonymous with domination and control. This attitude has been responsible for much of the environmental problems we are facing today. Is it not revealing that patriarchy existed when men were hunters, while Matriliny is associated with period of food gathering and agriculture when closeness to Mother Nature was maintained? And fifthly, Khasi Matriliny has been a big boon to the Khasi community in terms of its numerical growth. Because of this system, majority of the Khasi women who marry non-Khasi men are able to preserve and also extend their own kur since their children become natural members of their mother's kur. Had it been a patriarchal system, many Khasi women would have lost their identity altogether, as some of them have done, of course. Similarly, because of the matrilineal system, Khasi men who marry non-Khasi women through the traditional ritual of Tangkur are able to generate new clans, which have subsequently helped to increase the population of the Khasis in the course of the centuries. The number of kurs in the Khasi society constituted in this manner vindicates the wisdom of our ancestors who were concerned with the growth and survival of the community. So from that point of view, Matriliny is really a boon to the Khasi society because it really helps in the growth of the population because we are still, so to say, a minor group in comparison to the other communities who have got big population. So from that point of view, it is really something very, very positive. Now, conclusion. Khasi matrilineal system has been a subject of interest for many anthropologists and sociologists in India and abroad. Considering the fact that in the vast subcontinent of India, where patriarchy dominates, only the Khasis and the Garos have managed to preserve Matriliny as a family system. It implies something unique about these communities. In spite of the fact that there are recent movements by some to change over to Matriliny, Khasi Matriliny will probably remain. This is because we are witnessing greater empowerment of women today in different societies of the world. In India, for example, the representation of women in Lok Sabha has risen to 14.4%. All over the world, many women are heads of states. You can think of Angela Merkel in Germany, outgoing Chancellor of Germany, Kaja Kallas, Prime Minister of Estonia, Mala Sandu, President of Moldova, Sanna Marin, President of Finland, Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, and many others. So women are getting empowered all over the world. Khasi women are comparatively more privileged than others, not only in terms of matriliny, but also because they have command in society. Considering the fact of the rising status of women, Khasi matriliny becomes more relevant than ever, and its significance is beyond doubt. So that is, I come to the end of this presentation. So really, when we look at it, we see that Khasi matriliny is very, very significant still for the Khasis because it is a system that is that has strengthened the Khasi society let's say in terms of number as well as in terms of the position of women in comparison to other societies in the world. So definitely that is a positive point of matriliny among the Khasis, and I believe this system will remain at least as far as I see in the near future. It will not change. It will continue, and because of the positive impact that it has got. There are, of course, some negative things about it. We can discuss also about that. But on the whole, I would say matriliny has been a very, very positive experience of the Khasi society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father, for your presentation. It was very comprehensive. It was very, very informative. You have touched a lot of areas, and then you have really talked about Khasi Matriliny. You have mentioned about the evolution of matrilineal society. You have mentioned about the different aspects that are there in the Khasi society, like matrilocal, and then we have the role of the mother, the role of Ukni, the role of even the mother-in-law, and at the same time you also mentioned about Gango Meika, which is still practiced even till today. And then you mentioned about inheritance of property. In Khasi society we have both ancestral property and self-acquired property, where you have clearly mentioned about the Khaddo. She's the one who inherits the property, but at the same time she is the custodian of the property. And you also mentioned about the relationship between the family members, both the cognates and the acconates, which is very important for the sociology students to understand about these important points. And then you also mentioned about endogamy. You're not only mentioning about Khasi society as a matrilineal society, also mentioned about Nair society, and now they have been accepted, and then they have been changed themselves to patriarchal society. Then in Khasi society, because now we are living in modern society, we have these groups of people who have tried to bring changes, like we have the SRT, and then we have the KSU, to also allow the male members, the KSU and the other groups who actually they work so hard to enlighten the minds of the people, even to give the property to the male children of the family. And even though we actually live in this particular transitional stage, we still revere, we still actually follow this particular system, which is very important, which you have mentioned about women empowerment. And this is also a part of the way that women have been empowered in the society as a whole. So thank you so much, Father, for your contribution on this particular paper. And I hope that all the participants, the students, the research scholars, the teachers, and the academic community will learn from you a lot. They have learned from you a lot. Thank you so much. So thank you, Father. So now I would like to take up questions from the participants. If they have any queries, please drop your question in the chat box. And I have few of the questions, Father. I would like to read. I would like to read to you, and then you can answer to the questions. The first question that I have got is this: is matrilineal system going against the very nature of human sexual nature and the very human order of nature? He also, the person also add that also against the Christian scripture. Father, this is the question.
I don't think so. It is not going against nature and so on like that, because these are systems of, in the family organization, which is for one group may be good for them, for another group may not be, another system may be better. So anyway, there's nothing going against nature. Is neither is going against the sexual nature of human beings. I don't think that is true. At the same time, it is not okay. You may say it is going against the Bible, but let us not forget the Bible. The context of the Bible is the patriarchal society, the Jewish society, which is highly patriarchal. So therefore, the Bible was written from the perspective of the patriarchal society. So if suppose the Bible were to be written from by the Khasis, it would be a different thing. It would be maybe from the matriarchal, from the matrilineal perspective. So in that sense, we cannot say that okay, we are against the Bible. Okay, I think that is not the point. Here we are what we are saying that the Bible is written by a patriarchal society, therefore it appears that way. So there's nothing wrong, okay, in our practice of matrilineal. We don't go against the Bible basically. Hello. Okay, so much.
Father?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your answer for that particular question. Okay, another participant need to mute actually. Okay, so now another question. This is from Mewan Ebokwar. The questions is like this. What do you think will happen to the Khasi society if the KHADC will pass a new law on distributing the property among the siblings?
What will happen? I think that will be a good thing. Okay, that will be a good thing because I think that also that a lot of movements are towards that also the male children should get some part of the property. Yeah, because that actually it is something positive, and nothing will happen. I mean, it will be only the outcome will be good. The outcome will be very positive. It will be welcomed by the people. But of course, we have to keep up to the tradition that the ancestral property, especially the ancestral home, should go to the Khaddo, the last daughter, which is that is a tradition according to our Khasis. But regarding the distribution of other what you call movable property, ancestral property can be done, or even the immovable property like land and all that, it can be distributed equally. But that of course will depend also on the amount of property that the family has.
Thank you, Father. Yeah. So we have no more questions in the chat box. So I request the participants, if you have any question, they can.
Yes, Ritisha, I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for attending our program.
Oh, Rekha,
hello,
yes,
Father.
Yes.
How are you?
Yes, yeah. Good evening. I'm fine.
Good.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Very nice that we can meet also virtually, no?
Yeah.
Though we don't.
That's
yeah.
true. Yeah, correct.
So I also get a chance to say hello to my St. Edmund's fraternity, which I am so close with. Yes, Sir Lamare, then Sir Monotosh, and everybody. I've always been a part of St. Edmund's. So more than the seminar, actually, I was looking forward to meeting all of them. Anyway, Father Barnes, I fully agree with you that, the Khasi society is one of the oldest institution upholding matriliny, for so long. I mean, comparatively, you've given a very good example of the Nayars. And there is another tribe in Malaysia, Minangkabau, no? Even they are passing through a lot of changes. Now, I think, I don't know if Finley had planned it or what, but your webinar today, your presentation just comes on the right time, when this issue is like the one that is really taking up the headlines in the newspapers. So what came to my mind was, I mean, yes, we have been thinking over this, debating over the same topic over and over again, and with a lot of pressure coming. I mean, so many pressures are coming in from organizations about elements of change within the institution. So we were thinking that, yes, as a whole, the institution would not crumble, no? It will not really break down. This would not lead to the disintegration of matriliny, considering the fact that elements of it will change. But with the Khadak decision to really bring it out as a bill, I certainly see some kind of a threat because, the descent, as we say, no, long jaj nakakantay. So if that lineage is not anymore held in that same line, and, it doesn't flow through the female from the mother to the daughter, if it doesn't flow in that way, and it spreads out to all the siblings, then I think we have to rethink, the system as a whole, whether it would really bring a threat to the institution as a whole. So this might come as a big challenge to the system. Don't you think so, Father Barnes?
Yeah, definitely. It will be a challenge to the system, to the society, because we have been practicing this for centuries and centuries. And moreover, I think that that depends very much on the Khasi society itself. As a society, what do we desire? No, looking at the let's say the pros and cons of the system. Where so far what we have seen is that this system has functioned well. and it has we have been sailing smoothly, and there's some issues here and there every now and then, of course. But then in general, you look at the patriarchal system in other parts of the world, they are facing even more problems. Okay, like violence against women, all these kind of things take place. Now, when we look at both systems, each system has got their own problem, their own pros and cons. So from our part, we have seen our system is functioning well, and I don't think we as a Khasi society, we are so keen to change that system, because we see it as the wisdom of our ancestors. No? We have considered it from various points, and it is very, very, let's say, very I would say very positive system that we have. Moreover, there is also a kind of balance in our system, because we are matrilineal, but we are not matriarchal. So that's in that sense, there is also the position of the man as well as the position of the woman. So we are actually quite balanced. Okay, we are not completely matriarchal or patriarchal like others. So we are somewhat in between. So in that way, I think the system is functioning well. So my only view here would be, that the declining power of the uncle is a major problem, because the uncle's position is really declining, and that is affecting our society. So that's the reason why many scholars like Father Singh and all that, they are more in favor of empowering the father of the family. Okay, not changing the lineage system, but empowering the father of the family, so that the patriarchal aspect of the system remains. Otherwise, we are losing that patriarchal aspect of the system, which is seen in the uncle, in the ini. So that has to be maintained, because if that goes, then there will be one-sided, one-sidedness in the system. So that will be bad. So we have to create that balance. So I think that aspect must be stressed.
Yes. I think this gives more reason for the sociologists, to explore it.
Yeah.
Like a new area of research for the sociologists. Okay, thank you, Father Barnes.
Ms. Ritisha, can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, regarding that equal distribution of the property of the mother with the children, it was actually the movement started with Mai Shaprang movement. Then it caught up with the government. I think the government of Meghalaya also, in one of the assembly discussion, it discussed on this. If I'm not mistaken, even a law has been passed that the property of the mother should be equally distributed among the children. I think that has been passed. I think if we look at the assembly records, we might find this. And basically, the idea was that there is a kind of feeling that the male child is not the man is not getting any attention, or when he goes to the wife of the house, he goes empty-handed. So that's why that was thought about, and it's not that they do want that to lessen the daughter, but to empower the man also, which is in other words, that we are changing the position within the society for a betterment. That is what I look at.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So we no longer have questions, but there is. Oh yes, sir. Father.
Okay.
Yes, Father.
What Dr. Silvanus was saying is, I think there is some kind of law like that. I'm not very aware of it, but I heard some kind of law is there. It is good actually if there is a kind of a distribution of wealth of the ancestral property among the children. That is somewhat the movement that is towards that. But that is actually because the problem is that because of the abuse of the power of the Khaddu. We have seen in Khasi society where the Khaddu has abused the power, the power that she inherits. So many times the Khaddu becomes almost the absolute proprietor of everything that that she inherits, and she does whatever she likes with that. So that has created a lot of problem. Otherwise, as per tradition, the Khaddu is only the keeper. She's only the custodian, not the absolute owner. That means she cannot simply dispose of the property as she like. The uncle would be the check and control. But then today that system is really defective. That's why I think there's more reason for us to go for this some distribution of the ancestral property among all other children. That would be good. Any other question?
Thank you, Father. So there is no more question actually, but there is one statement. I think this is from the Bible verse, Genesis 2:24. This is from Alexius Tkar. It states like this: therefore shall leave his father and his mother and shall leave unto his wife. So what?
So that is that is very
not
much.
A question.
Okay, I know it is, but it is that passage is very much matrilineal, because you say the man shall leave his father, mother, and cling to his wife. That means it's become matrilocal. Okay, so in that sense, so the Bible has got some point there. So that is only some kind of reflection. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Father.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ms. Finley would like to ask one question.
Yeah.
Good evening, Father.
Yes, good evening.
I just want to know like what you think about some Khasis now who are moving into bilineal. You think, like they give both the title of the father and the mother. I just want to know your view. What is your opinion on this? Thank you.
Yeah, actually that is very confusing according to me. That is will confuse the whole system, and it will create problem later on, especially when it comes to marriages and all that. It creates a problem in the families. I think that is not a very wise move. I think the people who do that, they should be discouraged, because it is not a very wise. Either you completely change to Patrilini or don't do that, giving titles and all that. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Father.
Okay, thank
it
you.
was a very enlightening session. So I think we have come to the end of this particular program. But before that,